어머, 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 어머. 너 전화가 잘 안 들려서 그래. 어머, 어머, 어머.
Welcome back to the Ajumma Show. It's your host, Peter Kim.
I'm Eunji Kim.
Yes, and thank you so much for joining us this wonderful May Day. It's APA Heritage Month.
I know.
Officially.
Happy
APA Heritage Month.
Happy APA.
Happy APA. And this year it feels more important. Every year it ought to be important, but this year feels even more important, obviously, because of what's going on and all the racism and hateful stuff that's coming at Asians. And I see that even my friends that are like cool-headed are getting like perturbed online. Yeah. And that's what's making me feel a little like icky, because I'm like, man, we have to like keep our cool. We can't like, I know like this coming from me, this sounds horrible because I used to be on Facebook like the most reactive and the most like vengeful motherfucker, but as I grow older, I realize social media is not the place to be doing all of that. Okay.
No, you're truly a testament to making healthy choices.
I'm trying because I've been messy. So I'm trying to launch into my 40s as a newly like elevated, classier version of myself. You know
I see it. That chin lift mask did work.
Lifting your chin. And your I don't know, I had a metaphor or a simile, but it escapes me now.
It's okay.
Lifting your chin and lifting your, I
don't know, you're looking at me like I have the word, but
I don't know it. No, but I always need you with the words because I'm the one that could barely speak English. I posted a stand-up video today, and I've been going through my stand-up videos and trying to release 1-minute clips just because I see Sam Morrill doing it, and I love Sam Morrill. So I'm like, if he's doing it, I should do it too. So I'm like going through all, and the stuff that we did for Ajumma and stuff. So I'm like going through it, and I'm realizing how bad I am at English. Like the way I formulate these sentences, I'm like, this sounds like a Korean person who is literally translating the joke in front of you. What the fuck is wrong with me? I could have written all that down. But
no, no, it's not that. I know what you're talking about because I've listened to tapes and I've thought the same thing, especially when you transcript it out. Yeah. Because there are so many ums and repeats and discursive things, and you're like, what the fuck am I even saying? And writing it out is embarrassing. Because you were literally writing like she ha 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 ha. You know what I mean? Like it's just like
I mean, I don't know. I said what I mean.
And the only way you can transcribe it is like you'd be like gesticulating wildly, like.
That's why people are saying like, because I started putting like parentheticals and showing what I'm really thinking. It's it really is. My friend Benda, she texted me. She was like, I'm loving the parentheticals. It's like you're squeezing in more comedy, and I was like, yeah, I have to because there's not enough punchlines in the 1-minute clip, so I have to like.
But that's why it's good to like just with Sam Morrill's, you see his economy of words.
Yes.
He's not saying a single word he doesn't mean to say.
Exactly. And that's what reps provide you with. Because it's not the 14th time you're saying it. It's the 1400th time you're saying it. Yeah. So it's like rote,
Yeah.
We, as much as we've done stand-up, we're not at Sam Morrill's level. No. So we still do the, so feeling, anyway. But because that's all the tapes I have, I don't have like really clean tapes. I'm just like dragging myself in the parentheticals so that while that's happening, at least people get another joke out of it.
Yeah, I know. It's hard though. I've tried to do it and I can't. It's hard, too depressing.
It's really depressing. It makes you go, damn, I am not a professional.
Yes.
This is amateur hour.
And it's also time consuming as fuck.
Oh my God. Subtitles. Someone needs to make like an actual like subtitle thing. I mean, I'm sure there's something out there, but I'm doing it in like a video editor, and I have to put it into every like couple of seconds, and then wait for the setup, and then cut it to the. I mean, who cares? No one who's listening or
I know. Sorry, people, but it's very time. Yeah,
it's very time consuming, and for two comics who miss doing comedy, this is important. Speaking of what is important, I'm gonna go jump right into it. The reviews keep coming in, and we are loving these reviews. Speaking of comedy, if we don't hear laughs, we love the reviews. And please keep sending the reviews. This one is a doozy. Oof. Submitted by Yo Uni like Eunice, I think.
Yeah.
Yo, Uni. 3/13/2020. It says, honey, already, my fave. They go, where do we even begin? I'm so happy whenever the new Ajumma show drops in my podcast feed. It feels like sitting in the backseat of your cool onion oppa's car, listening to them talk while they forget that you're even there. I'm
So
here for
good.
this queer, woke, Konglish-speaking, hilarious duo. I am also thankful for their thoughtful takes, honesty, and efforts to always bring it back to positivity and bringing more light and love into our world. But God damn it, Peter Oppa, stop giving away the mandu for free. And from this Boksanim tayo and fellow Ajumma, Eliasem Heart.
Oh, so good. That's a wonderful review.
This is a fucking kick-ass review.
Yeah.
This person should be our kick-ass Korean just for this fucking review. Yo,
yes,
Uni,
cool onion.
we don't know who you are.
Cool onion open the backseat. That's like a perfect way of describing this, actually.
That is. Yeah. We love you, yo, Uni.
Yo, honey.
Yo, honey. Thank you so much. Eliasem, I love you so much. Thank you so much for listening and submitting this wonderful review. If you got a review for us, even if it's one word, please
do it.
Do it. We need it. Trust. It
means something.
It means something.
It does.
Speaking of meaning something, really, the people who are really being like so, they're really heartwarming. They're warming in my heart in this disastrous season of COVID is our Patreons. And our Patreons keep growing. We're up to 20 Patreons.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe 20 people are willing to subscribe to help us keep doing this thing.
So
I'm proud of what we do.
Computer. Yeah.
But 20 people? Damn. That's crazy. And we kept talking on Patreon for like years. We're like, we should do it. And then you would always be like, yeah, we should. And I'm like, who the hell's going to do it? You know, you're always the one that's like, gotcha. And I'm like, I don't know.
I'm always counting that money.
Always counting that money. Anytime we do a live show, you're like, yeah, we could sell out 150 seats. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I think 14 people are coming. I'm always like the negative Nancy, you know, the cynical bitch. Anyway,
like, we're going to make this much money and we're going to do this and we're going to invest it in this. Yeah.
You have a long-term blue chip strategy. But I'm flabbergasted. You know, we have some like great friends at our Patreons. Thank you so much. We love you.
Yes,
and we have
truly.
total strangers being Patreons. A lot of cool Asian, some fuckers.
Yes.
These like Latina fuckers. Like, oh my
love a Latina fucker.
We have some like classic white fuckers. Thank you so much. We love you. And I love that you're getting something out of it. So thank you. Your support really means everything to us. More than anything, it does. I love a classic white. You know, a lot of people think like, oh, is my $5 going to do anything? If it's my $10, $15 going to do anything? Yes, it absolutely does. Not only do you get like the merch and stuff like that. Of course, second round of merch is going out. There's a little like mailbox, etc. thing around the corner from me. So I'm going to be sending all that out.
Cool.
But on top of that, what it does is you're just supporting us. That's it.
Yeah.
Like we have, you know, in lieu of laughs and money that we used to make at shows and we used to get at shows, this really helps offset the life and truly. Yeah. And if you ever heard of like Dana Gould, his podcast, he really talks about like, hey, I'm just going to be posting stuff on the Patreon here and there. But if you want to support, you're just supporting me as a person. And I think that's what you guys are doing. And that's, I'm so grateful. So thank you.
I mean, it really does mean a lot, especially because of the current situation. Yeah. And also like our time. And the thing is like, it's a real community. Like what we're doing on Patreon is like, we are trying to create like a little community and provide you guys with like, especially spicy hot tea.
We are uploading spicy hot tea.
Yes.
That's going to be up on the Patreon. And we say some real shit on there. So go check it out. Yeah.
I mean, and you know us, we're going to try to be value adding shit to everything, you know?
Always.
Thank you so much for all your support though. Seriously.
감사합니다.
Yeah. Okay. You guys, speaking of, you know, we're doing an Ajumma show. Ajumma.
I fucking love that. Is that called a portmanteau?
Yes.
That is beautiful portmanteau. I love that. Ajumma show.
It's 5/29 Fridays, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 Central. We need an audience. We got a producer. There's going to be a tech person, like a stage manager.
Insane.
I've heard some crazy stories about Zoom shows being like hacked and stuff. We're not going to be one of those things. We have someone that's going to be watching the door. So, and then you guys can get to see us. We're going to be not doing sort of like a typical Ajumma live show. We're going to be trying out a format that is more conducive to this situation. You know, we're adapting. We're figuring out the paradigm is fucking shifting, and we're shifting with it. You know, we're adaptable. We're agile. We're prehensile. We're tactile.
Ooh, yes, prehensile.
Truly, I have not said adult words.
Yes.
Like all day.
Well, so you're using all of them in this promo.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like you have, like, if you guys live in a place that you guys never got to come to one of the live shows, this is not going to be exactly that, but it will be a form of it, and you guys will. It'll
be better.
It'll be better.
Yeah,
I guarantee it. So check it out. 5/29.
Save the date.
Save the date. This will be a great way to end Asian Pacific History Month. Like, oof.
Yeah, it's gonna be beautiful.
Beautiful.
And speaking of which, we could do plugs later, but Eunji and I are both doing the Crazy Woke Asians Festival this weekend. So go to our socials and find out the Zoom information. It's gonna be a Zoom show. Tons of Asians, 50, 65 different Asian performers, sketch, improv. There are people there are people like doing like yoga. Like, it's like crazy. There's all these Asians and like really, really funny, talented Asians. So go check out the festival as well. All right, so let's get right into it.
Okay.
Still quick catch up. What's going on with you?
Okay, so as we look into the possibility of this quarantine going on for an indeterminate amount of time, I'm considering having my mom and my dad move into our house to help with
Wait, what?
Dude, I'm so tired.
부모님 모시고 살 거야? Yo.
I like.
What are you saying? Say that one more time slower. Make sure you understand what the fuck you're talking about.
Exactly.
You're putting this out into the universe.
Yeah. Like, can you imagine like how tired I am that I would even say this?
Of course. That's why I'm like, are you in your right goddamn mind?
No, I'm not. I'm not in my right time. No, not at all. What the fuck are you talking about? I'm so tired. Like, I'm going insane. And I'm like, maybe they can move into, like, I'm thinking crazy things. I'm just like, they can move into this place. They can move.
Where in your house?
In the garden unit where we record. So like, basically.
Where are you going to put the studio?
I figure it out. I'm telling you, I haven't figured it all out. And also, I haven't even asked them. So she might say no.
She might be like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to take care of your kid.
Yes.
But damn, okay. You're tired.
I'm tired.
You want your parents to move in because you want them to help, but also are you like worried about them?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it was just like being like a peace of mind. They would help. And also, I wouldn't have to make like food 5 nights. I wouldn't have to make food like 3 times a day, 7 days a week. Yeah. And like, so she's like, be like helpful in that way, you know? She doesn't have emails. She's like, and it's also, she's also like, a harmony love is so crazy. Like this is the other bad part of it. Okay. So every time my son comes back from hanging out with my parents, like both of his hands are full of toys. And then my mom is behind him carrying another bag of toys. Like, and I'm like, what the fuck happened? And she's like, he wanted it. And it's just like, what? Like, there's no guideline. There's no boundaries.
I mean, what are they going to spend their money on? Retirement money on? They're just going to.
I mean, but you can't spoil a child like that. That is a recipe for tantrum. It's a recipe for whatever, you know? Sure. And he's like always watching so much TV with them too. And it's like, because they don't have it. They're old too. Right. So they're tired. Right. So, but I can't imagine truly like being able to be alone for like 4 hours in the morning would change my life.
Right. Oh, even sleeping more. Oh my God.
I mean, honestly, I don't.
You're really going to have to weigh that out because I know like theoretically, it does make sense. It is pandemic. They are in their 70s.
Yes.
You know, they've closed down their store. You need help. So, you know, good for the goose, good for the gander. But
I hate my parents.
Yes. You don't hate your parents. You just hate your dynamic with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's
It's
not
not
something
easy.
that's going to be fixed by living in the same house together. Now, there is a chance maybe because it is under your roof that you get to renegotiate the rules of your dynamic. You get to be like, no, if you live here. Are you thinking of them paying rent or rent free?
No, of course, no rent.
Right. So if
they're
not,
watching, they're watching.
Right,
our
right.
son,
It's in-kind return.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're inside your roof, maybe this is a way to heal whatever like childhood dynamics that you want healed, finally.
Or reopen
the wounds.
the wounds.
Pick at that scab. Pick at that fucking scab.
Like things that I thought had scarred over. Like I'm like, oh no, this is just a scab, and now I'm fully bleeding. Yeah. Oh, it turns out it was all broken already. Yeah. Oh my god!
Now it's infected.
I can't even spend that 4 hours in the morning because I'm just, I'm processing. Oh, yeah, Lordy. it's a thing that I'm gonna have to weigh.
Have you talked to Max?
Yeah, he doesn't have
What's
this
he
fucking
about?
thing. He's like, what's the problem?
What do you mean? He wants them to come in?
Oh yeah.
No, I would think that he would be like, no, it's too crowded.
Oh no. The idea of like having me be more chill.
This is the solution he needed. He needs his wife back.
Exactly. Like he was just like, oh no, you don't have to cook and like you can like chill out and you can like exercise and write again. And it's like, oh yeah.
Oh,
no, we should
really?
Do this. Yeah.
Damn, Eunji, you should maybe you should consider it. Like for real.
Yeah.
But
or
like
temporary. I hate
my
parents.
I know, but like temporary. Like just give them like just 1 year. And you don't talk to me about how to raise my kid. I don't talk to you about how you're spoiling my kid. And then, you know what I mean? Or whatever your problems are. I'm just projecting. But you know what I mean? Like whatever your parents are getting on your nerves about, you give them the time. And also, I know it might be like annoying for a little bit, but your parents are old. Like I think about this all the time, being the changnam, right? Yeah. I always think about my mom she lives on her own. She doesn't even have a husband. Yeah. So the whole time I'm like, yo, what if something happens and I wasn't the kid that invited my parent in? And we always constantly talk about this Korean American identity of like, are we American exceptionalism, individualism, or are we Korean Confucianism, collectivism, living as a unit, elder worship, all that stuff, right?
Yes.
And I think about like every day that I talk to my mom and I see that she's alone in her house, I think like, why can't I fucking step it up and buy a small little house or something so that I could take care of her, And she's like getting into her mid-60s. And that really like nags at me a lot. And that's the number one thing I will say I miss about being a corporate professional, besides like all the traveling, but like who's traveling now, is the fact that I used to take care of my mom. And now I just can't because I decided at age 30, it's like, finally, I'm going to live for myself. This is for me now. And ever since then, life's been hard, but I've been arguably happier.
But it's your life.
My life.
And with the corporate thing, it is our life.
Yeah.
Uri shikku, right? It's like, it's about Uri versus like my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Like, and that's the thing, like even saying it like that feels wrong. It has to be in English. It's my life.
Yeah, you can't say
or it's
내
인생. Yeah, 내 인생이잖아. Yeah, sounds, that is right?
내 인생 sounds like
욕심, 너무 욕심해. Yeah. Like it's like
even
it
me
feels very
saying
selfish.
it, I'm like,
yeah, it sounds very selfish versus like saying my life.
Uri. Yeah.
Uri, and then Uri, right?
Yeah.
So like I truly it's very selfish. The reason why I'm thinking about doing this, like I need the help. My anxiety about them being out there, but also I do like, it's like that life feels so far away. Like high school, like I hate that version of myself is ugly.
Yeah. And so you're afraid that you're going to turn back into that girl?
Because you know this. You turn into a version of a teen whenever you're with your parents.
Yeah. It never goes away.
It never goes away.
It never goes away.
I mean, and you've been meditating.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on with you?
You know what? Not a lot. It's been like a regular ass week. These days are just fucking flying by.
I know.
Every day. I think it's because every day I do the same thing in the morning that it feels like sunrise, do my workouts, and then work during the day, and then watch a little something at night and go to sleep. Sunrise and blah blah blah. So I feel like my days are full, but I just don't have like a memory of them. Yes. So I'm trying to like slow down a little bit and be a little more like, I don't know, present? a little more present, to be honest. And I have to get back on the meditation. I've kind of like thingy for like a month, and it's really getting to me. And I'm realizing that because I don't meditate in the morning, my days are going vroom, 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 vroom. And when I used to meditate, it was like,
like Matrix shit.
Yeah.
The way you describe it,
And I'm being more anxious about projects as opposed to I used to be so confident and just like do the thing. And now I'm being like, oh, is this right? Is this wrong? Like I'm feeling that the detritus of not meditating, and I have to start cleaning that out again. So that's really what I've been doing, or I've been experiencing. I did a Zoom show though, I will say, recently. And this kind of goes back to why we're using a producer for our Ajumma show, because these Zoom shows with the mute does not work for me.
No.
Remember the last time we talked, like I did that IG show and I was fully on mushrooms and embarrassed myself. This time I over prepared. Okay. I was doing a longer set, like a 12-minute set.
Cool.
And and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm really going to prepare and write new jokes. And I went into it thinking, and my friend who was hosting the show, he was like, oh, last week we had 100 people. And I was like, oh my God,
whoa.
Fucking 100 people.
Yeah.
This is going to be it. And I get there and it turns out it's 100 people watching on Twitch, meaning that they can't interact with us. There's no one on the Zoom. The Zoom is only the other performers. So I kind of heard those other performers like chuckling. Okay. And that's the worst part. When the other performers aren't LOLing and they're just chuckling nicely, that hurts even more.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I know you don't want to be chuckling. You're just doing this because you don't want me to feel bad. And then I start getting into my head. Anyway, so
in that way, I'm generous. I'm not generous in too many other ways.
You laugh out loud?
I laugh out loud. I'm a big laugher. I'm a big laugher, especially when I know people, it's like a new set or something like that. It's like, cause it's not, especially because most people are doing it at mic. It's not a good gauge. So you have to give a little more. Like if this premise is good, it's enough. Like I'm telling you.
Yeah. Keep working at it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So, with all this, like LA's reopening, by the way, I think next week is phase 1 of our reopening.
What does that mean?
Phase 1 means restaurants and like retail stores could open for curbside, all of them, not just essential or not just food.
Okay.
I think a lot of people have been like circumventing that anyway.
Yeah.
And then phase 2 is like things could start reopening, but you can't dine in. When you dine in, it has to be like you have to have like measures of social distancing and stuff like that. And then phase 3 is like everything reopens except for mass, like concerts and stuff like that.
Right.
So I was thinking about like, where does that leave comedy? Like, where does that leave what we do?
About a year out.
About a year out, right? Like we still can't bank on the fact that we can do live performance. So
even at tiny venues, they're not going to be open.
They're not going to do it. Even if like a bookstore, let's say, is open, and you do a show at a bookstore, right?
Yes.
That bookstore show, post-quarantine, that bookstore is going to need social distancing guidelines.
Yes.
So they're not going to want to pack people in for a show. That's going to be
And we wouldn't want to do that.
You wouldn't want to do that. You don't want to be the show. You don't want to be the producers or the host that were part of the problem, spreading the fucking disease. So like, I don't know, man. Like it's starting to really come. I'm starting to realize that like we talked about this last week, like we have to shift, we have to change. So I'm so excited for our show because maybe we will find a way to replicate live comedy.
Yes.
In at least a Band-Aid form that we can do. Because these muted Zoom shows, IG live shows, just ain't it. No. And thank you so much. If you're watching and you asked me to do your show and I came and either embarrassed myself or did okay, like Thank you so much. I'm not trying to be an ungrateful bitch, but it's just not for me. It's not. I don't get anything out of it. And
the muted show is bad, but the unmuted show, which is what
I've never experienced that.
It's very different. You can hear people laughing. You can hear people like kind of talking. You know, like the thing inside of a cocktail bar where there's like chatter in the back of like people having like little side conversations like that.
Like repeating your punchline.
Yeah. Repeating your punchline. Peter, you're truly insane.
By the way, send in your people are still sending in their laughs for the laugh quilt, the Great American Life laugh quilts. And we got a bunch now, so I'm very excited. I know we said end of April, but it's quarantine, so I'm going to push it to middle of May.
Yeah.
And keep sending them in. I've been building this track, and I can't wait to release it for you guys. And yes, it's going to be exciting.
Okay. All right.
With that, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, we are back, babies. So, Eunji, I don't know if you've seen this, but Korean baseball has been airing on ESPN.
What?
Korean baseball, 한국 baseball. ESPN announced on Monday that it has struck a deal to televise 6 Korea baseball organization games a week. 6 a week. Can you believe?
Because it's good enough.
It's good enough, and Americans are starving for sports.
They really are.
Americans love sports. Americans love sports so much they're willing to watch Korean people do it.
Yes, I know. That's what I thought. I mean, I've talked to a lot of like dads, like where that's like the hardest part of quarantine.
Oh,
it's like
because sports?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing to watch.
There's nothing to watch. There's nothing for them to like just go away from their family.
Yes.
And relax. You know, those appas that don't like drink as a way to escape.
Yeah.
They have sports. Right? And sometimes they don't even care about the sports. They just like the time they spend alone in front of a TV.
Yeah.
You know, like casually being a fan of something, right?
Yes.
So the KBO, Korea Baseball Organization, is in cahoots with ESPN now. The Samsung Lions v NC Dinos at Lions Park in Daegu was one of the first games that they televised. And I watched the clips of it. Honey, it is empty. It is chilling. And you know what's the most chilling part about it? The seats, at least like the seats where the players could see, just like that first level, they're filled with like paper, like cardboard banners of fans with masks on. It's not
even the picture of the fans have masks on.
Yes. Even the
Korean
picture.
Korean people are crazy. Like you can't even imagine a world where fans don't have masks on.
No, because you don't want to televise that. You don't want to be fucking sending that kind of message, you know, like especially Korea, because right now Korea is like the pinnacle, you know, of like, oh, what we should be doing. Anyway, it felt like it's too good. And it's like scary. Good. It's very chilling. Yeah. It looked like a fucking Black Mirror episode. It was fucking nuts. And then, you know, the big screen, the like Jumbotron or whatever, they had fans tune in to like I don't think it was actually Zoom, but it was like Zoom like video conferencing where it was a huge screen of like 20 people on the screen, cheering and shouting like da 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 da, you know, like doing the little cheers and stuff.
Yeah.
Now they did have actual cheerleaders and like Kayo, like you know, K-pop person. Yeah. It wasn't K-pop, it was more like Kayo. Do you remember like Kayo Top 10 back in the day? Like those old, I just like Asa 호랑나비. Yeah. 호랑나비. 한 마리가 내 앞에 앉았는데. Like, yeah. Doing that shit that they do at chanchis, you know, where like ajummas are just fanning themselves.
That's like truly my favorite type of Korean music.
Korean music? Me too. Chanchi music.
Like the kind of music that you listen to while you wave a piece of ojinga.
Yeah. And the ajummas are like but yeah, so they had that kind of entertainment. So they're trying to like recreate the sporting atmosphere as much as they can.
even for the players, like to have, I mean,
the players especially.
Yeah.
Because LeBron James was talking about how like they were interviewing him right when like the quarantine was happening, and he was like, "I'm not going out there to play," because the NBA was like, "Should we have them play into an empty crowd?" And LeBron James was like, "Y'all could play. I do it for the fans.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that." And that's exactly what we are talking about as comics. It's like, sure, we can do comedy to silence, but like, why? That's not why we do it. Just so that we could say we do it.
Yes. And
no.
it's not the reason why fans watch. It's about like it's literally about this communion, a moment of like human achievement, right? Like even with comedy, it's like you're watching someone write a joke, execute it, like perform it, and then be rewarded accordingly. You know, like a guy trains for 20 years, and you know it's a different arc for athlete versus us, but like
no, it's the same. It's the same amount of work and skill.
You know, like I mean,
you
go out down to the thing, and it's about the thrill of hearing the cheering fans, and like that's what elevates that shit.
Yeah, it's a tightrope act of live entertainment or live anything. It's like anything could happen right now, right? Yeah. And that's so missing from our lives because everything is so edited and you know like pose and all that. So yeah, it doesn't feel the same, but Americans are watching it. And at another opening day game, this one at Suwon-si, the ceremonial first pitch they usually do was from a 9-year-old boy in a plastic bubble. So he did this. He was so fucking uninterested. He stood in the bubble like this, and they were like, tweet, and then he goes. And then he gets to the plate, and then the batter goes, ding. And then he goes, that's it. And the stank look on his face was exactly the feeling we all feel about this coronavirus. Just like.
That is so funny. Like
he was so uninterested. It was so funny. And then there people were like complaining about like how the players are still spitting because that like expectoration is like highly no. Yeah, you know that's like the reason why all those fucking who was that the cult that in Daegu that spread so fast.
Yeah. I don't know, but whatever they are.
Yeah. That they brought it from fucking whatever Wuhan, and they spread it so fast in Korea. Those are the people who started it in Korea. Yeah. And it was because they were spitting. It's like, you know, and like spitting on each other. So, but they were saying how like, let's let the players spit because there's nowhere around, and that's one like bad habit that they can't get rid of right now. The spitting while like, you know, like.
Yeah, I mean that's like part of I'm sure it's a part of the rhythm of playing
and the culture of the baseball.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this really made me thought like, is sports the thing that's going to bring us together? And by us, I mean like the East and the West. And baseball is obviously an American pastime that has been incorporated into Korean culture and Japanese culture, you know, Far East culture. And it's become a huge thing in Korea. There's like Korean people coming here to play MLB, and that used to be a huge thing. But now it's backwards. We're watching Koreans playing baseball. And here are some quotes from Americans, especially these are from, I believe, university professors of communication. Okay. They were interviewed for this article saying like, what do you feel? How do you feel about this? Like Americans Americans watching Korean baseball. And here's some really interesting quotes. They said, there are differences, but in the end, it's still the game that is so familiar that we love. Okay. Yes. So we could look past the differences. Yes. Another person said, the only baseball I've watched lately were replays of these epic games. Yes. It was nice to take a breath. It wasn't boring. It was peaceful. Wow. That's really, really nice. And another person said, I don't know any of these guys, but I'm loving it. So check out the article. It's NBC News. You'll see it under U.S. News. It's a really cool article about like, what may be the future of American sports. We may just look like Korean baseball moving forward, and people will be watching. Crazy. It's crazy. It's changing. It's like exactly what we're talking about. Like they are evolving in front of our eyes, and they must. if
you
you
think they'll
want,
start televising European basketball? Like,
no, that's too far. No, that's too far.
because everything is going to be closed. I mean, it's kind of crazy. That is wild. I want to check this out. That is really wild.
I mean, what if they start watching Korean stand-ups? Because stand-up
I think
comedy.
we could sneak in there.
I know. That's what I mean. Yo, these days I've been thinking really about like moving to Korea for a while. Like,
really?
Yeah.
You know, LB would become famous, and you would hate him.
You're right. I'm very petty. I love that I told you I want to move to Korea to pursue something, and you're like, your white boyfriend's gonna get famous, and you're gonna get mad. So don't even try it. Thank you so much.
No, you're gonna become famous too. But I mean, LB, like they love this, especially if you learn to.
Oh no, you froze.
Oh no!
Oh,
okay.
You're back. What did you say?
I was saying that, you'll get famous too, obviously, but like they love like white guys like that learn the language.
Yeah, for sure.
And he would learn the language.
He will. Yesterday he said, we were just like cuddling on the couch, and I go, "Oh, you're being so sweet," and he goes, "자기야." He picked it up from like watching like Korean stuff. Not Itaewon, like I think he picked it up from Hyorin and Minbak.
Okay.
I
mean, also he plays cello. Like, I mean, all the things.
I know.
Yeah.
The Korean.
You really want to move?
Crazy.
You want?
I want to. I'm intrigued in the new adventure. As Hollywood productions really have screeched to a halt.
Yes.
What does that mean? Is there a future for us? Is it animation? Is it, Zoom? I don't know. We're figuring it out as we go, but Korea seems to really have their shit together. And
yes, they do.
And this idea of like being Korean American and moving back as a gyopo.
Yeah.
I could write a book. You know what I mean? Like that could be a really cool, memoir, if you will. So I'm
truly like,
I'm thinking about
like, yeah, like that's a good idea. I think you would. Honestly, my husband and I have talked about it. Strangely enough, we both think you would really crush
in Korea.
Yeah.
All right, I'll think about it. My lease is up in June, so
yeah, like for real.
Yeah.
Okay. I just read this essay about. It's called "Is My what the fuck is this? What is the title?" She said, does my child's name erase my identity? And it's like this, she's Japanese and she's like Japanese and Taiwanese.
Okay.
And so she's like half, and she's married to like a white Jewish guy. She's, by the way, lives in a burb outside of Chicago. And she says that her daughter presents pretty white. And I'm like looking at the pictures of to me, she looks half Asian.
Right.
And so she was saying that the compromise she made was like her first name is white, but it's like an Asian American name. So it's like an Anglified, you know what I mean? It's like a Theodore or whatever, like every Chinese name is like crazy like that.
Yeah.
And like,
Adolphus.
It's, Adolphus. Yeah. Something like, it's like, what is this? But like something like that. And her two middle names are like they took turns, like her husband and her, like, and then her last name is her husband's, but she kept her own Asian last name.
Okay.
And like very similar to what I did. Like my son's name is Solomon, Saul, and then Toyon, and then Edelman, right? Mm-hmm. So like it's the same, very similar situation. And she's talking about how as she starts to present more white and goes through life, like how the Asianness in her starts to become less of her own identity. Yes. Mm-hmm. Because her name is not. And she talks about it, and we've talked about it on the show. Friends we have who have pretty anglicized English American names, who changed their names as adults to the Korean or whatever ethnicity they are, their name. A lot of my Japanese friends are Hapa, change their middle name or change their first name to what's their parents' last name.
Yeah. Our own engineer.
Yes.
Phil. Yeah.
Yeah. That's sort of like a thing where they switch it, or the thing is that what I was recalling through all of this, I remember when Tom Kim came back from summer and decided to be saying, and we all dragged him so hard for it. And I think about it now, I was like, why were we so angry with Tom for trying to become saying? And it wasn't even.
When was this? High school?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I would have done that in high school.
Yes. And then the thing is, he didn't even, I think the other part is, as Korean people, is like, you can't just be saying. You have to be the whole name.
Like Sang Thomas Kim?
Yeah. Or no, it's like his
Sang
name,
Kim.
like actually, yeah.
Oh, it's like Sang Hyun Kim.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You can't just be one
saying.
syllable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also the Americanized version of it, just saying. Just be Sang Hyun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do the whole thing. And we dragged him so much. And the same thing when I think a Tony Kim tried to do it. I mean, I just think about all these people that inside of our current culture is much more acceptable than it was.
Yeah.
But also in our current environment, like what it really means to like that sort of Hapa Asian identity, when you could feasibly pass the things that people do to make sure that people know that they are Asian. Is to me very intriguing, because like as a young person, I don't think I would have ever thought about it. Like,
Never.
If I could have passed.
Never.
Because it's just like, for me,
we were all in the 80s and 90s. We were always concerned about passing.
Yes.
Assimilating, not being different, not being as fobby or, immigrant-y, shedding the old world. That's what our parents wanted. That's what our parents wanted us to speak English well. Which clearly in my stand-up
that's what every Adolphus Lynn's father wanted him to be.
Yeah. Winchester Chang.
Yeah, Winchester!
You know what I mean? They got like great British accents,
yes.
like Hong Kong accents. That's true. I think it's interesting because since you and I met in comedy, that was the first time I really wanted to double down on my Korean identity. And I'm not Hapa. I'm not a Korean adoptee that's wanting to be more Korean, which happens a lot. And there's a lot of Korean adoptees who listen to our podcast because they realize that, like them, we straddle this identity back and forth of American Korean. And when we say American, we mean white. Yeah. We still don't look at other races as American identities. And half of the country really make sure of that. But there's a part of us that's, especially being first and second generation, that we were trying so hard not to smell like kimchi.
Right.
Or like break out the kim. Or the, you know what I mean?
Good.
Like, so good. Or the like 콩나물국 or shit like that, like miyeokguk that our mom would like pack in a little soup thing for us. And I was like, so like growing up like that, it's truly amazing that we are hearkening back to our Korean identity as grown ass 30-year-old adults. You and I met in our mid 30s.
I know, it's crazy.
You know,
and now we're in our late 30s.
Now, shh. But yeah, in our late 30s, pushing into 40, I am the most Korean I've ever been. Yeah, more than I can remember when I was young. And I there's something beautiful about that you go on this whole circular journey, almost like a hero's journey of like going into the world as like, okay, I'm going to be just like everyone else. And then realizing that being just like everyone else means nothing. It actually deadens you.
And it denies your own existence, your own identity. And the thing is, like, there's seems to be something in this name thing about reclaiming a portion of your identity that you think has been anglicized, has been sanitized for you by your parents. So because it's like, it's a very first generation, second generation thing to be like, oh, no. Like, we were trying to do this, like what we're describing. And a lot of Hapa kids are reclaiming it in a way very tangibly. And I was thinking about this for my own son, and I was like, I'm going to start calling him Toyun more often, because I used to only call him Toyun. But now we're in quarantine. he doesn't hear it as much. Parents aren't around.
So
it's like, and so he mostly speaks Russian anyway. So like the thing is, like the words I say in Korean, he knows, like 바로 앉아.
That's why he's not speaking it, because it's all the shit that's not fun. It's all the commands of you're doing it wrong. Ajumma.
Ajumma. 바로 앉아. 밥 먹어.
Yeah.
But like, so it's like, it's this sort of intrinsic kind of identity thing that's so like, and I think it's so easy to like kind of deny because everyone is trying to make room for each other, like inside of these like interracial couples, right? Like I do one, you do one, we're sharing. Yeah. I think there has to be a certain, and the thing is, for me, most HAPA kids, this is what, instead of the article, was a little unnerving, and I've talked to other HAPA kids about it. There's a lot of things about like passing for one or the other. It's like, I really present as Asian, or I really present as white. And this is a large conversation, a lot of HAPA things. And I have talked to a couple HAPA people where it's like, I think you could just say that they look HAPA.
Right. You
like,
look,
I mean, that's a whole,
biracial.
Yes. And that's a whole other thing. And it doesn't have to be about passing or looking or being Asian enough or not being Asian at all.
Right.
It's just, you are HAPA. You are this whole other thing. You are this whole other identity, and that's fine.
You're a hybrid. You're a mutant.
Yeah. I mean, just to me, I'm just like, because the thing is, honestly, every time I see a HAPA person, to me, I like, they just look Asian. It doesn't matter how white they look. I only see the Asianness.
Exactly. That's what I feel about when it's half white and half something else.
Yes.
It's always the something else.
Yes.
But do you think that's because we are so conditioned to say that white is default?
I think it's because every HAPA person I've ever talked to about it has said that it's usually whatever the person is what they see in them. So it's, if white people see this HAPA person, they usually think that like, oh, it's just like a white guy, and always are surprised to find out that they're Asian or something else. And for me, I'm always surprised to find out that they're half white. You know, now it's more like they become a reflection of whatever the person sees.
Right.
In themselves. And so like that's a lot to put onto HAPA people as well, you know?
Absolutely. Especially because they, I'm sure, are so confused because they're so used to living in binaries, and because we force them to. And to be able to create a space of, you're a HAPA, that's your own identity, I think that's cool. And that's what like Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele were kind of touching upon in their shows. Like, hey, we're both half black and half white, but everyone sees us as black, but we also are white, you know? And they would play with that identity. And I think that's really cool.
I agree. I mean, that was what it was about. And I thought it's this conversation, especially nowadays, as we face like, by the way, I didn't tell you this, but my mother-in-law, we were socially distancing from them, and it was the first time I'd seen them since quarantine. And she looks at me and goes, there's like a small quiet inside of the conversation, and she went, I hate Chinese people.
Oh my God.
And then I'm like looking at her like, what? And then she sees my face, and she goes, oh no, it's not because of this. I've always hated Chinese people.
Oh, okay. Then I'm good. If you've had a long-standing hate for another race before Corona, then like I'm okay with it.
I was like, oh, okay, yeah, haha, same.
Okay, yeah. Sure, you know, like Japanese, we got it.
Okay, I got it, yeah. I mean, but it was like crazy. I was like, oh my God. But yeah, I mean, this conversation about like what the future looks like, especially as a lot of anti-Asian, and like as these pandemics happen, as China starts to rise as a power, like for me, being Asian was always like, we could never assimilate because our faces are our faces. Like we are not like Italians. We're not like, you know, it's just our faces are our faces. So it doesn't matter how much money we accrue, how much clout we have inside of anything, no matter how many times we're around,
how
whatever.
light our skin is.
Yes. Or how cool our music is, or we will always be other.
Yeah.
And like, that's why this name thing was always so baffling to me. But like, as HAPA people become more and more reality in America, I understand this now. And so
Yeah.
I was considering it with my own son. Anyways,
That's
was
very
my
cool.
topic. Yeah.
Awesome.
It was a cool episode. It was a cool article.
We'll post it on the podcast links for you guys to check out. All right, with that, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
A favorite part of the show and yours is Kick-Ass Koreans.
Yeah! Who do you got this week?
I have this North Korean author who had his manuscript smuggled out of the country. His name is Bandi, and the book is called The Accusation.
Okay.
And it's a crazy story I was reading in the Times. It's this article from 2017. It was 743 pages bound in string, written out longhand.
What?
Got smuggled out in 2013. And it was the first manuscript written by a living dissident writer in North Korea that had ever been smuggled out.
Oh
I mean, this is thrilling. This is thrilling. And it is a pseudonym that he wrote. The pseudonym
he wrote it in Korean.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is the pseudonym he wrote it under is Bandi, Firefly.
Oh wow. Okay.
I also thought it was very close to
like
Bandi.
a light in the darkness.
Yes.
Oh wow.
That will go out.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Poetic.
It's just for a moment.
Oh my god, a glimpse of light in the darkness.
Yes.
Pandi. It
Which
does
also
sound
is very
like
close to
pande. Yeah. That's what I originally thought it was. Pande. Like we are opposing. Opposite.
Yes.
Opposition. Pandi. Okay.
And so it's like they're like everyone is like it's been verified that it is like it's the name that the writer chose for himself.
Yeah.
And it's because Pandi, he wrote in a poem, was, quote, fated to shine only in a world of darkness. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And so it's like there's a series of it's a series of 7 short stories, and there's also a separate book of poems that he
it's fiction. Oh,
yes.
Okay. I thought it was like a dissidence
memoir? No.
memoir
This is like straight up Solzhenitsyn, like what it is, a literature written about an oppressive regime, living in an oppressive regime. Like, this is like fucking Kafka-esque shit, you know? Where like, because the sort of, this regime is so hyperbolic and too grotesque in its extremity. Like, everything seems surreal, but it is rooted in fact. And it's a really beautiful series of stories. They all seem, I'll be honest, very grim for me to read. I've just started to read David Sedaris again. So I don't know if I'm in a mental space to be able to engage with this stuff, but it's like.
Well, which David Sedaris are you reading?
The Me Talk Pretty.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah, it's just like, it's like, it's just easy.
It's fun,
read.
easy.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the book is called The Accusation, and it's been translated now into 18 languages, published in 20 countries. How
do you get it? Amazon?
Mm-hmm. I think it's on Amazon. And
or your local bookstore could order it for you. So.
But basically there's also a very extraordinary man named To Hee-hyun, who's an activist campaigning for human rights in South Korea that managed to get this. And so he got a call from a North Korean woman that had been caught by the Chinese police and was about to be extradited, where she would probably die. Oh my God. And so he raised cash to help bribe her way out and bring her to South Korea because Chinese.
Oh my God. And she had this book.
She said that before fleeing that she had went to say goodbye to her relative Bandi. And he asked her to take this manuscript that he had been hiding, but she was too afraid to smuggle it across the border into China. And so she didn't take it. She said that if she had been caught, and she was, the writer and her and everything would have been banished. Like, they would have been executed, right?
Right.
His writing and his actual physical thing. So she gave his real name and his North Korean address to this man, Mr. Do, who hired an ethnic Korean in China to go to North Korea.
No.
And this is an epic situation, and discreetly contact the writer. And then it was smuggled out among works of propaganda glorifying Kim Il-sung.
What?
They hid the pages.
They hid it within propaganda.
Just get chills. Don't you just
my
got chills?
God.
I just get chills. Just got chills.
악살, 완전.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And so, like, and the thing is, there's either, to me, this is truly why it's kick-ass is not only because of this extraordinary writing from Patty, but because of the extraordinary bravery of Mr. Do. Right?
Yes.
Like that these things together is what allowed these stories to come to light. So those are my experiences.
God, that is so fucking cool. Ah! So this guy Pandi still lives in North Korea?
We don't know.
We don't know.
No.
Oh my God. That's so crazy. I have to get on that fucking book right now.
Yes.
Ooh. Cool. So my kick-ass Korean is also someone who is badass and kicking ass and taking names.
Okay.
Her name is Ji-in Lee Hook. Hook, I think. Badass managing partner at Stalwart I cannot speak English. Stalwart Law Group. That is a hard thing for a Korean person to say. Stalwart.
Yeah. There's an L and a W. This is actually anti-Asian.
This is very racist. Stalwart Law Group. Anyway, so why is she important? Because the CARES Act that was recently passed by the government allocated $349 billion in emergency funds for small business loan program called PPP, or Paycheck Protection Program. Okay. Yes. So a little history on it. It launched back in April 3rd and was intended to provide loans to up to 2.5 times a business owner's monthly payroll, right? So it's a stimulus check, but for businesses, small businesses, like our families, businesses, etc., right?
Yes.
But it ran out of funds by April 16th, in 13 days, leaving most of the small business applicants empty-handed. Now, why did this happen? Well, the lawsuits claim that the nation's 4 largest lenders were involved in Paycheck Protection Program. JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and U.S. Bank rigged the loan process to benefit their own bottom line.
Some fucking capitalist pig shit.
Fucking pig shit, right?
Yeah.
In the middle of a pandemic, they're skimming off the top. Of course these motherfuckers are, right? And then Ji-in Lee was interviewed in a bunch of articles like Yahoo and also LAist and all these articles coming out. She said, quote, "We felt there was something unfair and at the very least going on." She said, "So we investigated and we realized there were some viable claims here against the banks." So what she and her team, her analytical team, they analyzed the data from the SBA, Small Business Association, and they found that instead of a first come, first served basis, which was by law the way the banks were supposed to handle this, the banks instead processed the biggest loan amounts first because it increased the bank's origination fees while leaving more than 90% of small business owners out of luck once the funds were depleted. Origination fee, what this is, I had to look this up, is basically, it's compensation that a lender like JP Morgan receives for processing a new application. Wow. So the bigger the amount, the bigger the payout for them for processing, because it's a percentage. And to make matters worse, the banks were concealing that from the public, and they're reshuffling all these PPP applications, prioritizing the applications that would make the banks the most money first. So they ran out of all the money very quick because they skimmed off all the fucking processing fees. And now people, like the small people like our families and our friends who own small businesses, are shit out of luck. And now there's a second round coming out. Already $349 billion have run out.
That's fucked up. They sorted the wrong way. You know when you go to a store website and you can sort by low price, low to high? They sorted from high to low. That's fucked up. Nobody should do that. And it's fucked up that isn't even an option.
Absolutely. So what Ji-in Lee and Stalwart Law Group is doing, amongst other is they got a class action lawsuit filed on behalf of small business owners in California.
Cool.
And they expect to file similar lawsuits on behalf of small business owners in New York as well now. And since then, all these reports have come out saying that this has been true, and the banks have been like using their PR. Some banks are not responding at all because they know what the fuck they did. And some banks are saying, "Oh, we were just trying to get as much," like they're fucking spinning their wheels, their PR wheels during a fucking pandemic. Okay. So this is so cool that she is on the side of us, the people, attacking the 4 biggest fucking evil corporations in the world. And get this, not only is she a kick-ass Korean, she's also a good friend of mine. I think this is the first time I've ever done a kick-ass Korean that's my actual friend. We went to college together. We traveled to Puerto Rico together. We rented a cabin up at Big Bear. We've done vacations. I love it. And on top of that, She's a mom of new twin girls. Okay, this bitch is a goddamn phenom, and she's my kick-ass Korean this week. Give it up for Ji and Lee Ho.
She's a hero. Twins.
Amazing.
Bitch. Okay.
Oh, well,
That's
thank you so much
crazy.
for listening. This has been our episode. I hope you liked it. We have some hot scalding tea up in our Patreon. If you're interested, go to our Patreon, sign up, and listen to all the nasty gossip.
It was nasty.
It was nasty. It was pretty bad. And also, don't forget, 5/29 Friday night, 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central. We're going to be doing Ajumma live. We're going to have this live show where we could unmute you and we could listen to you, and it'll be interactive. It'll be really fun. So thank you so much for listening. We love you. Mwah.
Bye.
Safe out there. Bye.